Okay, let's dive in. Imagine someone, right, who goes to federal prison over a stock trade. Their whole world, their net worth, just craters. Most people would probably think, well, that's it, career over.
Yeah, definitely.
Yet here we are, it's 2025, and Martha Stewart is 83 years old. And she's not just, hanging on. She's worth a reported $400 million and still actively building things.
It's pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. And you brought us some fantastic sources today that really trace this, incredible journey. So the big question we're digging into is, how did she take that massive public failure, that prison sentence, and somehow turn it into this enduring empire?
It really is a compelling puzzle, isn't it? And our mission here for this deep dive is basically to unpack the specific strategies, that unique mindset, and the actual behaviors that let Martha Stewart not just recover, but constantly reinvent herself and, keep leading. I mean, we're talking about America's first self-made female billionaire. Mm-hmm. She had this huge, very public fall from grace, but then meticulously rebuilt this incredibly strong, resilient personal brand. So yeah, we'll be getting into these sources you've provided, looking for those nuggets, those key insights that explain how she did it.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, because it's maybe not what people expect. Far from the domestic goddess image. These sources show that from 1967 to 1972, so late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, a very different time for women in business.
Exactly. A time when many women were really pushed towards homemaking. Martha Stewart was actually a licensed stockbroker in New York at Monis, Williams & Seidel. How much did that early Wall Street gig matter later on?
Oh, it was foundational.
Yeah.
Absolutely key. It wasn't just about learning how money works, like the mechanics of it. It taught her how money could be used strategically as a tool, for independence, for creating new things, for expansion. Mm-hmm. It gave her this fundamental grasp of leverage and scale. And what's really striking looking back is that even then, she saw the domestic world, which many dismissed as soft, she saw it as inherently scalable. That's a different kind of thinking.
Scalable is the word. And she certainly proved it with that, meteoric rise later on.
Yeah.
When she launched Martha Stewart Living Omni Media, it took it public in 99.
Wow.
She didn't just start a company. She basically created and defined a whole category.
She really did.
The IPO raised $129 million.
Yeah.
And get this, she kept 61% of the shares. 61%, which made her America's first self-made female billionaire, worth about $1.05 billion on paper. What was the deal with keeping that much control, that 61%?
Holding on to 61% in an IPO, especially as the founder back then, that was almost, unheard of. It wasn't just about the cash raised. It meant she kept total strategic and creative control over her brand's future. She wasn't just selling off a piece of the company. She was making sure her vision, her, let's say, obsessive standards, and her long-term plans stayed exactly as she wanted them. It really speaks to that early Wall Street understanding of power, and her absolute belief in her own brand.
But then, the flip side, the fall, 2004, she's convicted. 4 counts, obstruction of justice, lying to investigators, ends up serving 5 months in federal prison.
A huge public spectacle.
Huge. And the company's stock plummeted. Her net worth dropped from over $1 billion to just $162 million by 2005. That's more than an 80% loss. A staggering hit.
How does she even think about recovery after something like that?
Well, it's clear she had this philosophy, maybe implicitly at first, that wealth isn't just what you have saved, it's what you can regenerate. When the stock crashed and the big dollar number shrank, what didn't disappear was her ability to get attention, her unique taste, her work ethic.
Right, the intangible stuff. Exactly. Those were the real assets she started regenerating, not just digging into an old bank account. Her brand equity, that deep trust, that aspiration linked to her name, it turned out to be way more resilient than the stock price.
Interesting.
So for her, wealth became measured differently by control, by the power to create, the ability to reinvent, not just dollars. Money was the engine for the next chapter, something to use strategically, purposefully. She even said in 2006 something like, being in control of your finances is a great stress reliever. It tells you a lot about her mindset.
Yeah, it really does. So beyond the finances, it feels like she was building something much bigger from early on. She was called a one-woman media machine even before we really had the word influencer, right? Oh. What drove that focus on massive scale, seemingly from day one?
If you trace her career, it's a key takeaway. She starts with catering in the late 70s, and that's where she has this light bulb moment. Yeah. She's not just making food, she's actually storytelling. That insight leads to her first book, Entertaining, in 82. sells hundreds of thousands of copies. And then she just strategically layers the channels. Books build authority, TV gives visibility, magazines create frequency, that regular connection, and then product lines for the direct monetization.
So when she pulled all that together under one roof, what was the masterstroke? Turning all that content into such a powerful business.
Her real genius was using the content to drive the commerce. It wasn't like today where maybe someone chases a viral hit for quick cash. Martha built these integrated systems. She founded Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia in '97, pulled it all together, then the IPO in '99 with that crucial 61% control.
Right.
She wasn't just doing deals here and there. She built an entire ecosystem. Her brand became the trusted filter for people. Kitchen stuff, bedding, paint, garden tools. If Martha's name was on it, it signaled quality, a certain lifestyle. It made buying decisions easy for millions.
Like a seal of approval.
Exactly. And even when she sold the company later, in stages between 2015 and 2019 for about $175 million, she'd already moved on, expanding into CBD with Canopy Growth, that show with Snoop Dogg.
Which was brilliant.
Yeah. Her 100th book, her own podcast, started in 2022. She was already building the next thing.
It really hammers home that principle. Don't just build income streams, build platforms.
Right.
Systems that work for you even when you're not physically there on camera. No wonder she says, I don't think about retirement. I think about what's next.
Yeah, if you step back and look at the whole career, it's like a lattice. It spreads out, it goes up, it weaves into every part of her audience's life. And all the while, she kept that tight editorial control. Each part wasn't separate. It supported the whole structure. It's a masterclass in building a lasting brand presence, really.
Okay, let's shift from the big strategy to the daily grind. Because your sources paint this picture of intense discipline behind the polished image, precision, pace, and perfection. What does that actually look like day to day for her?
Well, her routine is legendary for being rigorous. It reflects what she calls systems of control. Starts the day at 4:30 a.m. Seriously. Tending gardens, checking emails, reviewing business stuff, feeding all her animals chickens, peacocks, dogs.
Wow.
Her home isn't just a home. It's basically a living prototype for the brand. Think about it. Every perfectly folded napkin you see in the magazine, every pristine garden shot, every recipe, it's all tested and perfected in her own space. It's her personal R&D lab.
So she's literally living the brand.
It's the ultimate show, don't tell. It demonstrates the very perfection and aspiration she sells.
And that carries over to the office, right? The sources describe her as exacting to the point of obsession, firing people over font choices, personally tweaking napkin holds, testing products herself. Nothing escapes her scrutiny. Is that just personality or is it strategy?
Oh, it's absolutely a deliberate strategy. The core idea is consistency builds trust. There's that anecdote about her rejecting a photo because the lemon looked too dry.
Right.
It sounds picky, right? But it's not just about being difficult. It's about showing that every detail matters. Multiply that level of attention over decades, and you build this incredible brand belief. People think, if Martha approves it, it must be perfect. You trust it.
Alongside that perfectionism, there's this constant curiosity, always learning new things, gardening tricks, pottery, even cannabis farming. That last one feels like a curveball for her brand.
Well, it ties right into her adaptability, which is remarkable. I mean, she gets on Instagram in her 70s and completely masters it. Remember that poolside thirst trap selfie?
Oh, yeah, that broke the internet for a day.
Right, and now in her 80s, she's on TikTok. It's not about jumping on every trend, I think. It's about embracing new ways to express herself and connect. She said something like, I don't think about age, I think about energy. That just nails her approach.
It really does. It underscores that her success isn't just built on reputation, it's mastery through repetition. She shows up, puts her fingerprint on everything, products, articles, photos. She scales through depth and care, not just speed.
And zooming out, you see how her habits directly create the results she wants. It makes her success feel almost designed, inevitable. Her actions and her brand are inseparable. That's how you get that kind of longevity. It's a powerful link between doing and being.
Okay, let's talk about her core philosophy. It seems like for Martha, change, evolution, reinvention, it's not something she does because she has to. It's like a ritual. She really lives by the idea that relevance isn't given, it's earned.
You see that crystal clear right after she got out of prison in March 2005. Everyone probably expected her to lay low, maybe disappear for a while.
Right, retreat.
Instead, boom, new TV show, rebranded magazine. She even does The Apprentice, Martha Stewart. It wasn't about denying what happened. It was a very deliberate act of redefinition. She grabbed the narrative back immediately, started writing the next chapter on her terms.
That fits perfectly with her idea that change is not something to fear, it's something to master. And she keeps pushing her own brand limits, launching CBD products in her 70s. Yeah. That Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover at 81, oldest woman ever. What's driving those kinds of bold, unexpected moves?
I think her decisions come from a very personal place. She seems to ask, what can this become? Not what will people think? That quote, I want to try something new every day, it's not just a nice saying. It feels like her actual operating system.
Yeah.
It's this curiosity-driven thing where any new interest, any new skill could potentially become a new business idea, new content, a new way to connect.
It's amazing how she weaves personal growth right into her professional life. Like she takes up pottery, becomes content, her gardening passion, a whole business line. Those dinners with Snoop Dogg turned into a hit TV show.
Exactly. Her lifestyle is the business. It's this brilliant synergy.
It feels like she's constantly evolving.
Absolutely. Her decision-making looks like this blend of intuition and execution, aesthetics and analysis. She doesn't just follow culture. She actively shapes it by letting her own evolution connect with her audience's evolution. For her, transformation isn't an event. It's just a principle of how you keep growing.
Okay, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
That 2004 conviction. Obstruction of justice, false statements, all tied to a stock sale of about $230,000, 5 months in federal prison. It was a massive, very public fall from grace.
But definitely the lowest point, publicly.
But the sources suggest she was already planning her comeback while she was inside prison. How did she actually execute that when she got out?
Right. So when she walks out of Alderson Federal Prison Camp in March 2005, she rolls out what you could call a controlled crisis response. No hiding. She immediately launches new shows, reclaims her story, and kind of reframes prison as this pivotal moment, a turning point.
Owning it.
Exactly. It shows that long view brand resilience. She didn't make excuses. She just embraced what happened and doubled down on her core strengths. Taste, authority, presence. The scandal tested those things, sure, but it couldn't erase them.
And the financial comeback was just as strategic. Net worth down to $162 million in 2005, but the company's profitable again by 2006. She restructured, did new licensing deals, streamlined products. How did she rebuild market trust after such a huge hit?
She rebuilt trust, it seems, not mainly through apologies, but through execution, consistency, and an unapologetic return to form. It wasn't just crisis management. It was a crisis leverage. She used that absolute low point as fuel. She absorbed the prison chapter into her overall story, her mythos.
Wow. Crisis leverage. I like that.
It sends a powerful message. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about how you get back up. She deployed what some call her rebirth strategy. Own the narrative, lean into your strengths, and come back with something new and compelling. New products, new media deals, and eventually selling the company, but staying on as the chief creative force.
And fast forward to now, 2025, she's still everywhere, a cultural fixture. That $400 million net worth. She really has outlived, outmaneuvered, and outlasted so many.
And the takeaway there, I think, is that true longevity comes from what we might call prepared imperfection. The ability to stumble, maybe even fall hard, but get up, recenter, and keep moving forward without losing who you are. That's real empire thinking. Building something so solid that even a major crisis becomes just another chapter, not the end.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big picture for us? Martha Stewart isn't just a brand about perfect homes. She's kind of living proof that your life, maybe especially the messy, challenging parts, can actually be your most valuable asset in business.
Absolutely.
She didn't erase the prison time. She doesn't hide her age. She doesn't desperately chase trends. She used it all to make her authority even deeper, her connection even stronger.
It is striking. At 83, with $400 million, she's clearly continuing, not just competing. While others are maybe scrambling for fleeting attention, she cultivates endurance. Others follow trends, she kind of transcends them. Still putting out her 100th book, trying new media, expanding into unexpected areas. Her staying power isn't from one big hit, it's from slow, steady, deliberate evolution.
In a world obsessed with going viral overnight, Martha Stewart offers something much rarer, doesn't she? Brand permanence. She shows us that if you design your life with intention, if your habits match your values, if your brand reflects your truth, then time can actually be on your side.
I think her story boils down to ownership. Owning mistakes, owning talents, and crucially, owning the narrative. And in doing that, Martha Stewart almost gives you, the listener, permission to start again. Not with an apology tour, but with precision and purpose.
So maybe the question to leave you with is this.
If Martha's story sparked something in you, if it's a reminder that you can rebuild, rebrand, reclaim, what part of your own life, maybe something you've been hiding or downplaying, could actually become your greatest asset? What might you do differently starting now if you decided to own your whole story with that kind of precision? Think about it. And if this deep dive resonated, maybe share it with someone else who could use that reminder that reinvention is possible for anyone brave enough to own their story.